Yo, what up? It's your boy, Mr. E, and today we're going to be learning about graphing on the coordinate plane. Now, we've learned a lot about numeric patterns, and especially how to do things with equations and tables, and a little bit with the graphing. But today, we're going to dive even deeper and be pros when it comes to graphing on the coordinate plane. So let's dive right into the video. We've got a graph here, but we don't really know what the table or the equation is. So, step one, we're going to determine if the graph is additive or multiplicative. Do you remember how we can do that just by looking at the graph? That's right, we're going to take a look at the origin. And if the line is passing through the origin, then we know it's a multiplicative relationship. But if it's not passing through, we know it's an additive relationship. This graph is passing through, so this is going to be a multiplicative relationship. So we know our equation is going to have multiplication or division in it. Step two, create points on the line. And I suggest at least 3, but the more the better. So I'm just going to put 3 points here, kind of randomly on the line to help me with my next step, which is make ordered pairs on the table. In our last video, we learned all about reading and creating points on a coordinate plane, so it'll be really easy to find these ordered pairs. We are going to need to draw a couple of lines to help us, but then we can easily find the ordered pairs. So we have 1, 2, 2, 4, and 3, 6. Step 4, create an equation based off the pattern. I think it's a little bit easier to see these patterns when you see them on a table. Some might find it on a graph easily as well. But as I look, as we're going from left to right or from x to y, it looks like we're multiplying by 2. So the way I would write this equation is by writing y equals 2x. Now, you can go equation first and then table. Like I said, some people are going to be able to do it a little bit easier going to equation first, but I suggest as we're first learning to create that table first, then create your equation. Let's go ahead and practice a couple problems together. All right, we got a couple graphs here, but we don't have the equation or table for it, so we're going to create it together. So we've got our first graph over here. First step is to see if it's additive or multiplicative. I'm looking at the origin here, and the line is way up there. So it looks like this is going to be an additive relationship, okay? So I know I'm going to be using addition or subtraction for this one. Next thing, I'm going to create some points, okay? So I'm going to put a point right here, a point right here, and a point right here. Now, I'm weird and I just like making them right in the row, but you could have used any points on this line. Now we're going to create our table. So I'm going to create the x on this side and the y. So it looks like the x is going to be 0 over here, and the y is going to be 3 over here. Drawing our lines, the x is 1, and the y is 4. And then the last one we have, the x is 2, and the y is 5. So 2 and 5. So it looks like as we're going from left to right, we're increasing, and we know it's an additive relationship, so it looks like we're going to be adding. And it looks like each time we add 3. So the equation I would write would be y equals x plus 3. So we took the graph, we made a table, and then we created an equation. Let's move on to the next graph. So first we check if it's additive or multiplicative. Look at the origin. Again, the line's to the right, so it's not passing through the origin. So we have another additive pattern here. Remember, the word subtractive doesn't work, or doesn't even exist, to be honest with you. So it's going to be additive here. Now we're going to start creating some points on here, okay? Let's be fun this time. Let's make some random ones. So we'll put a point right here. We'll put a point right here, and we'll put a point right here. Now, I would suggest that you create points that are going to be really easy to read the ordered pairs, but really, you can do it however you'd like. So now we have the points created, and we're going to start making our table. So we've got the x on the left side, which is also the input and the independent axis, and the horizontal axis. We've got the y on the right side, or the output, the dependent, or vertical axis. So we're going to start drawing our lines. It looks like this first one goes to 3, and this one goes to 1. Okay. And this one, we're going to draw the line down. That's going to go to 6, and that's going to go to 4, So 6 and 4. And then this one goes down to 8 and goes over to 6. So as I look at the pattern going from left to right, we are decreasing this time. So I know we're going to be subtracting. And it looks like the rule that would work for each one would be subtracting 2. So we would write it y equals x minus 2. And we've got a good table and a good equation. Let's move on to our final one. So we're checking if it's additive or multiplicative. I see right here, it is right at the origin. It's passing through 0, 0. So I know this is going to be a multiplicative relationship. Does anybody still have struggle saying multiplicative? I know it took me a lot of years of teaching to just be able to say this word. It's a tricky one. Now we're going to create some points. Again, we can just kind of create some random points, and it will work with any points that we put on here. We're going to put one right here, and we're going to put one right here. Okay. Now that we've created our points, we're going to create our ordered pairs from those points from our table. So x is on the left, y is on the right. Looks like we have 2 for the x value and 1 for the y value. So 2, 1. This one we're at 6 and we're at 3. So we've got 6 and 3. And then this one we have 8. And over here we have 4. So I notice it's decreasing. So it looks like we're not really multiplying, but we're dividing. But we could write it as multiplication if we wanted to. I think this is how most commonly 5th graders would write this, is we're dividing by 2 each time. So 2 divided by 2 gives us 1, 6 divided by 2 gives us 3, and 8 divided by 2 gives us 4. But another way you could write it is by writing 1/2 times x. Because if I multiply 8 times 1/2, we would get 4. So that's probably the way that I would write it, but either way is totally fine. And that's it. It's pretty easy to take a look at a graph and find the table and the equation from it. And in our next video, we are going to do a little bit more practice of going back and forth between equations, tables, and graphs. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you get more practice with graphing on a coordinate plane so you can get a hundo on your next test. Keep learning, Elsbres.